Grandpa, what do you call this thing again?
It's a 66 Ford Bronco.
I think you got ripped off.
Why is that, honey?
It's got no Wi-Fi, no USB port, no Bluetooth.
Exactly. I guess we'll just have to talk.
Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect.
Is that the window button?
It's called a window crank.
Cool. The faster I move it, the faster it goes down.
This moment of escape was created by Haggerty.
Being old is kinda cool, Grandpa.
Works for me.
For people who love cars.
Welcome to RCS. I'm Nick.
And I'm Dan.
You sound tired, Dan.
I am tired. It's been a long Monday.
It's like,
It is so Monday.
where's your enthusiasm, Dan?
It went out the door with all the small businesses.
Oh,
Yeah.
you making a political statement, Mr.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
But speaking of small businesses, and some very large ones,
Yeah.
we're brought to you by Avants, Carter Subaru, Haggerty, America's Automotive Trust.
Yep.
And we're recording live at Drivers Club all by ourselves
All by
because
ourselves.
of social distancing and new lockdown rules.
I can't follow this stuff anymore. I don't get it. I don't know. So
Yeah. It's a little hard to do this.
it's hard to have hope. I'll be
We're-
honest.
Yeah, we're balancing right now booking guests and trying to get more content on the show, which is very hard to do when we're like, can you sit? We have very long microphone extension cords, so we'll put one guest 12 feet away.
That being said, if you want to be a guest on the show and your phrase in your head is #NotMyGovernor, come on in.
I don't know
Yeah.
anymore. Like I said, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just worried about the small businesses. That's my main concern. I'm like,
I agree.
I don't have a solution. I'm not saying that. I'm just worried about, people trying to get things going. Like we have an Avants event on the 21st. We've been
Hopefully.
talking about that we will both be at now because Thanksgiving was canceled for my side of the family.
No, I thought you guys could still go down.
I'm still going to go down to Oregon, but I'll be around for the event.
Right, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Cool. I'll be glad to have you there.
If we have the event, and
Yes.
we're still waiting to hear back on Adam from that to see if that can happen because is it a gathering? I don't know.
Technically, we'll know by the time this comes out, but
Yeah, so stay tuned. We will post up, even before this episode airs, the status of the Avants event. If
Yeah.
it's on, we will be there.
yeah,
And hopefully we will run into some people we met over the weekend.
that was funny.
That was funny. We should talk about that a little more. We had a really fun weekend, and we learned a lot, and we pulled a lot of people out of snow, and did not get stuck.
We have a lot. I'm gonna probably put this gracefully. There are a lot of people in this area that are not from this area,
Right, and so
and some of them may not have seen snow before.
right,
Don't take them with you into the mountains.
prepare them. Take them with you.
Yeah.
Take them with you.
Give them a notepad to write down questions. Garov.
That was really fun. We brought Garv along for his first off-roading experience.
I don't know if he's ever been off the road. Period.
Yeah.
He had great questions. I was just like,
My favorite one, though, okay, so if you haven't been up to Stampede Pass in the summer, it's a really nice little, like, blacktop road out there, and then you get to this bridge, and, like, this parking lot on this bridge. And even in, like, any vehicle, if you hit the potholes right after that bridge in anything but a very lifted vehicle, bigger than my Raptor,
yeah.
you will probably break your suspension. Yeah. Those potholes are literally like a foot deep. Literally. I'm not kidding. No exaggeration. You will completely bottom out your suspension. We did that a couple times, even crawling through there at like a mile an hour. So, and because it was when we got there, it was all snowpack. And he was like, thinking of his wife. He's like, maybe we should come up here and do some sightseeing. Can I drive the vet up here? We just laughed. We're oh, man.
Yeah, once.
Yeah,
you can drive it up here once. Yeah. Believe me. I think his wife's X3 would do fine. But if you haven't done that, it's well, how do I put this gracefully? That whole adventure will be easier to look at soon.
Yeah.
Without saying too much, but we've been up there a ton and decided it was Dan actually made the decision that it was a good idea to go up there on Sunday, and we kind of put the invite out to some of our friends and headed up into the mountains. I'm pretty sure we're the last people that are going to be up there.
Yeah.
And everybody that we pulled out of there would have been there.
Yeah.
There were some guys that got pulled out by a really cool. Wow, what is it?
What do you call it? It's a snow track vehicle.
It's a snowcat. It's a snowcat, but it's back up there for PSE. But literally, we ran into some people that had some hunters that went up there on Saturday, and they came down with us on Sunday.
Yes.
So that tells you.
So
And that was not their plan.
Yeah, we should talk through this. It's a pretty fun adventure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to weave it right into the Carter Subaru tip of the week, which is very applicable to this and just kind of go through some stuff. But so we get up to Stampede Pass. The snow is falling. It's high enough elevation to where it's just past Snoqualmie Pass. So there's a bunch of snow everywhere. And I thought, man, maybe we could go to Easton. Is it Easton? No, it's Greenwater.
Yeah.
Greenwater, right on the other side. And actually, we actually could have. I really think the Raptor would have made it no problem.
Fine, yeah.
It was dumping snow up there, but the lowlands, before you get up to the higher elevations where it's freezing, were awful and deceptively bad, because that snow is, we've talked about this before early on in the show, I think really early in our winter prep episode, the snow we get here, if you're not from here, is nothing like Midwest snow or Utah snow. It's really wet, thick, sticky. It's like frozen mud, which is, it doesn't clean out very well. And when it packs in, like, you can get really stuck and not a lot of snow. I mean, really, less than a foot, and you can completely get a vehicle stuck if you're not ready for it. All-terrains barely cut it. I mean, street all-terrains. Just take that back. That's what I'm going to get into. There was, on our way up, we get stuck, and there's this, I was talking to this nice Russian guy and a nice built 4Runner on the way up. Ran into him, cool guy. He was headed up, and he got stopped talking to this tow truck. This tow truck's a dually on chains. It's a tow truck. And he got called to try and rescue these two hunters. And so I caught up with the guy in the 4Runner, and he said, yeah, there's some hunters that are stuck here overnight up by Lizard Lake. And we wondered if we would get to them first. But we had a large group with us, and one of our group got stuck. Well, it turns out these guys, like Nick said earlier, they had been up there on Saturday and got stuck overnight. They were in a stock 4Runner with some not very good tires.
They had
street
really
tires.
bad street tires. Yeah.
Not like BFG all-terrains, like street all-terrains, which I don't even know why they call them all-terrains. They're not. They're no better than any street tire.
And to be fair, when they went up there on Saturday, it was not that bad.
No.
They were, first of all, they were a long ways past Lizard Lake, and they got a ways in there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the way up, one of our friends went to do a turnaround in a very lifted Tundra. Nice build, but the lockers were out on it. And so all he had was stock 4-wheel drive, and he went to do a turnaround, hit kind of an embankment and slid down just a little ways, but totally stuck. And even with a pull, couldn't get him out. But, of course, Davis came along in the Land Cruiser.
You almost said it.
I almost said my Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Davis was with us, and he hooked up the winch. He had a come-up winch that Mule helped him out with, and we put a snatch block to the Toyota.
Yeah, Tundra.
Thank you. I was like, which Toyota was it?
You talk, I'll fill in the details. How's
Thank
that?
you. That's
Okay,
working out really well.
That's fine, yeah.
And sure enough, a snatch block with the winch, no problem.
And just so we're clear, we were maybe an eighth of a mile in on the trip.
Yes, we hadn't even really got into Stampede Pass yet, and so that was the first stuck vehicle of the day. And but yeah, winch with a snatch block, man, double that pulling power. So it was that vehicle with people in it probably weighed a little over 6,000 pounds, I would guess. Full tank of fuel, 4 people, all the gear. I'd say that thing probably weighed 6,000 pounds.
So Davis happens to be sitting here with us. He just was talking about us rescuing, and he just about said my 4Runner or my Land Cruiser. So,
My baby.
My baby, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so with a
You're
12,000...
just taking care of it, Davis.
Yeah. 12,000-pound winch, one snatch block equals 24,000 pounds of pulling power. So that thing was no problem to pull back
I don't
out of
think
there.
the Cruiser didn't get stuck once yesterday.
No,
him.
not even a
In
little
fact,
bit.
when you drove around the Tundra that one time and into the ditch and just basically went around it, that was pretty interesting. So,
Yep. So that was how, I mean, like Nick said, I think we were maybe an eighth of a mile into this trek before the first vehicle got stuck.
Yeah.
And so we kept going up and up and up, and
if you know the area, we got up to the power lines and kind of stopped and thought we were going to stop there, and then everybody's like, "No, we got to keep going." And I think the Tundra turned around just because from time, and he was sinking into everything because he had like the electrical issue with those lockers.
yeah,
But then we made it all the way up to the lake.
yeah.
And it got cold, so it got a lot easier to kind of get going.
Yeah, it was dumping snow, and if there's snowpack on the ground that's compressed, it's actually pretty easy to drive on it, even in most basic vehicles. In fact, we had a Tacoma with us, TRD Pro.
Yeah,
with some, I don't think it was
a Pro.
No.
She just had no. It was just a regular Tacoma.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that thing did awesome.
Well, she knows how to drive that.
Yeah, she does.
She's had Jeeps and then giant trucks and stuff like that. So
yeah, so an experienced driver who wasn't looking to get into trouble and knowing what she's doing did really well. Mm-hmm. Totally fine. Didn't get stuck until she got stuck once, but she was playing around and kind of intentionally. Yeah. It was like one of those whatever. We get tons of vehicles.
It's a throttle issue. We talked about that a lot.
Yeah. I learned that I had some fun. Don't get me wrong. I was playing with throttle, having some good time because Raptor. And but a quick way to get stuck in the snow is throttle. A real quick way to get stuck in the snow is throttle.
We had a more of a friend of yours than mine that messaged us today, and it took me a minute because he was like, "How is the Jurassic Park?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, Raptor, got it, got it." Yeah,
yeah. So putting that thing, just being light on the throttle, and I fully admit this, letting the truck sort it out was kind of amazing. I was stopping on hills and stuff. I was like, "There's no end out of this. I might have to get a pull here." Nope, just lightly tap the throttle, and somehow. I mean, you can feel the traction control working. It's like, okay, I guess we're going.
This is kind of jumping ahead, but when we were coming down and the rear end was coming out slowly, and you looked at Garth and you're like, I think the rear end's coming out, and Garth and I are like, yeah, we're not facing forward. We understand that. Like, we're in the car with you, Dan. So
yeah, but it was nice to have a heavy vehicle in front, though.
Yeah.
We had other trucks in front of us. Not a lot, though. There really wasn't much vehicle traffic up there until the end of the day that afternoon. Yeah, but. The Raptor did great. It just notched itself out of everything we could throw at it. I couldn't believe it didn't get stuck in some of the situations I was in. But a little message comes up on my dash. You want electronic nannies. It was kind of funny. And it was like, it sensed the vehicle was stuck. And it was like, would you like to engage snow sand mode or whatever it is and to get unstuck? And I was like, okay. And then it just kind of crawled out. It's like,
whoops.
Okay.
It's smarter than me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't actually engage trail cruise except for that time, but it does have that function where you can set it up to 10 miles an hour with an off-road cruise control for sand or snow, and it'll just chug along.
Yeah, it was rather impressive. I mean, like I said, minus the fact that if you know Raptors in the ground clearance, like there were some holes like.
Oh man,
we went to the frame on the Raptor. I mean, and I know
multiple times.
I know Brandon went to the frame on his Brian went to the frame on his Colorado a couple of times. So.
Yeah, Brian has Elitch, who's been a guest on the show, has a ZR2, and all of us were down to the frame rails. I have 11 inches of ground clearance on that, and we hit some potholes really, really slow that were like
still hit the ceiling,
completely down to the rails. So. It was interesting.
Yeah, I mean it was beautiful up there. I mean, if you don't know the area, it's a great place to go snowmobiling too. Wonderful. Lots
of snowmobiles. The snowmobiles were already out in mass that day, so really cool. They got an early start to the season, but they do close off Stampede Pass, and so I think this is it.
I think there needs to be an etiquette class for snowmobilers.
Yeah,
like if we're up there with you, don't stop in the middle of the trail because we can't drive around you. You can drive around us.
Yeah, that was a little annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those hunters, so being back to that, we were way up, like you said, past Lizard Lake.
We were going back down into the valley, on the other side.
The other side of Stampede Pass. And I guess we can call it, I don't know what it's actually called. We know them as a snowcat.
If you ski or snowboard, it's a snowcat. It's a miniature snowcat that PSE uses to run the lines, to go down, to run under the lines. You can go anywhere.
Yeah, it's a huge tracked vehicle. They had seating for 4 in it, really well built.
And we were going down, as we were coming down there, we were looking at these tracks and going, what is making this?
Yeah. And there's this giant snowcat, and luckily we caught up with him. I have it on video of him pulling this 4Runner. He pulled him out. The guy with the Russian guy with the 4Runner tried to, but the snowcat came up and just ended up pulling this Pathfinder pretty much all the way back over the pass.
Which I think was good because he was almost out of gas.
Yeah. So he was. Yeah. And so those guys were anxious to get out. They actually ended up getting stuck again. We were coming back, and when they thought they were in the clear because they were going downhill, they ended up hitting a bank, which is very easy to do in there. Several in our party got stuck as well. And
you don't know it. It just you start to slide a little bit, and all of a sudden you get off the road, and it sucks you right into that.
Yeah, you're just right into the bank. And so we pulled them out, real easy to pull them out, got them down, and then we ran into another group of some Avants friends who didn't make it very far up because the conditions got way worse going back.
It's important, and I want to say this again, just because you have a 4-wheel drive truck or something like that, if it came with the street tires on it, do not go up in the mountains with those. It's just, even on dirt, sometimes it can get full of crap. But I mean, there was a fully lifted Jeep that was well prepared, and he was with his friends. But then they had a Tacoma and a Tundra, and that Tundra was pretty.
Yeah, the dark green Tundra, really nice one.
But they were stuck. They were big time. They had street tires, and they were big time stuck up there. And it's funny because we were it's small talk when you're up there, and I have to give them massive credit because usually when Dan and I are up there doing things, when we come up on a situation, we kind of talk. Like I don't know if it was just you and I, but we just sort of walked up to him and started taking over. Like, I literally grabbed the guy's winch. I'm like, you just get in the truck and we're going to help you. We didn't really ask, so I really applaud them for not, being like, get away from my car. So, yeah. But it was fun. I mean, and I kind of enjoy those moments more than anything.
Yeah.
I think it's fun because there's an aspect of like, okay, how do we get this car out of here? How do we get it spun around? What's the best place to do this? So.
Yeah, I have 3 soft shackles with me right now. I own 3, and we used all of them all day. Those things are godsend. I love soft shackles. If you guys haven't found them, Mule's got them in stock, of course. I mean, you can get a set for like $50 on Amazon. Shop local if you can, though, of course. But they are.
Just go to Joann Fabrics. You can weave one. It's real
right.
simple. I mean, it's the same fabric.
Yeah. So they look like they're just loops, but a lot of vehicles like new Tacomas that aren't TRD Pros and just other trucks don't actually have big recovery points in front. Or maybe you're pulling a stuck vehicle and the only access you have is a lower control arm.
Or, I mean, like in the Subarus, I don't have a tow point. I have to put in the tow hook in the front.
Yeah,
and it's a really small little eye bolt, too.
Yeah, so these things allow you to wrap around those parts and give you a tow point. And they have about a 30,000-pound tensile strength, so you're not breaking one of these. Yeah, like it's a little tiny rope, but it made it really easy to hook on the Jeep that was helping those guys had a winch, but it has steel cable and it's just a hook. That's it. And so without a soft shackle, you really don't have a way to pull these vehicles.
Bring gloves, bring gloves, bring gloves.
Yes.
I took some of the winch home in my hand, so I got it out.
Yeah, I dug it out too.
Yeah,
I got a little of that. It's funny as I had gloves, but
yes, thank you for saying. We get off the mountain. I'm like, I should have brought gloves. Dan goes, I had gloves. I didn't ask. I didn't ask. That's my fault.
Spare socks and gloves.
Exactly.
Anyway, but I wanted to get into the Carter Subaru tip of the week because it really relates to this. Tires. There's a big argument I see every single day. It's not really an argument. It's just the discussion of what's better. Should I go with my like really good all-terrains? And I don't mean the like Michelin Defender street all-terrain. I mean like the BFG KO2, the Goodyear Duratrack. Like there's good all-terrain tires out there. Or are my mud terrains okay to run in the snow? And I didn't just like Google this once and figure it out. I did a ton of research. I read the stuff from Goodyear, read the stuff from BF Goodrich. I went through all of it. Which one's better? Everybody kind of comes to the same consensus. So ice is the differentiator. A mud tire actually works totally fine in the snow and actually works better if you're in the type of environment where you dig down to the bottom of the snow and then you're in the dirt. All-terrains don't clean out as well. They offer more surface contact area, but they retain mud. They don't clean out. Like
the notches are a lot closer together, and therefore they pack the snow and mud packs in them.
Mud packs in them.
I find that with my Subaru. I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, minus the road. There's some road noise. We'll say that. So we're clear. Yeah.
Yeah. The Duratracks tend to, I've heard, do a little better in the snow, but I've actually had really good luck with the BFGs. They've been fine. And I don't think it's as big of a difference as people think. It's a little bit, but it's far more the driver.
Yeah.
But that's really the difference here is the siping. And no matter what, one general consensus across the board is do not sipe your tires. It's like an old gimmick that does not work. It actually is really hard on the tires. They'll chunk off pieces of rubber. You're going to hear different, depending on who's selling it to you, you're going to get a different opinion, but every single manufacturer out there says do not sipe your tires. So I'm going with what they say.
Can you even buy studded snow tires anymore?
Yes. The Duratrack, they can't do it on the KO2s, but the Duratrack and a few others you can actually add studs to.
I grew up with studded snow tires in Spokane, and I mean it was a rite of every in November you put them on, and they came off in March. Like I mean,
dedicated studded snow tires. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You can buy those, but you can also stud all terrains.
Yes, you can. But
yeah.
Studded snow tires are. I think that's why I became a good driver on snow is because of studded snow tires because they were great on ice.
Yeah.
Because it would dig in, traction wise, and if you were digging, I mean, especially if you were in deep snow up to the frames and stuff like that, you really could dig your way out.
Yeah.
But I miss those days, like,
it's
obnoxiously loud.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the great debate is mud tires or all-terrain tires. And the fact is it's simple as that. Mud tires don't do well as well on ice as all-terrain tires do. All-terrain tires don't do as well as mud tires do when you dig down through the snow. On top of the snow, which is the ideal spot, they actually perform pretty much the same. It's not always better actually to clean out your the grooves if you're on snow because you're reducing your contact patch. You're just digging deeper. So it's actually easier to get stuck in deep snow on a mud terrain tire than it is to get on an all-terrain tire. But once you're down through the bottom of the snow, you want the mud tire. So, if you can only do one set, the mud tire is probably a better bet around here because we have that really thick snow you want to kick out.
So go up in the mountains with all terrains, and then when you're stuck, dig down. Once you hit the dirt, then swap on your mud tires, and then crawl out, then put your all terrains back on. Okay, got it. Super. Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah. In short, all terrain's better for ice. Mud terrain's better for deep mud and snow when you're digging through the snow. So either way, though, like I said, you're not going to find, I don't think, a huge advantage over one or the other.
There's not one tire that's going to do it all.
No, there is not one tire that's going to do it all. That's the main thing. In spite of the all-terrain name. It's a little long. The show is going to be a little short due to the COVID stuff. No guests, but we're going to take our first break. We'll be right back.
We spend an average of 8 hours and 41 minutes a day facing screens. Laptops, smartphones, tablets, even digital refrigerators. But what are we really connected to? Isn't it time you connected to something greater? Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect. This moment of escape was created by Haggerty for people who love cars.
And we're back. Yeah. There you go.
Yummy
We're waking Dan up.
Yeah. That's the beer.
We were laughing because I think a lot of people go up in the mountains and are inexperienced. And Dan and I have witnessed this many, many times.
Oh, yeah.
We one of the first times we ever went up the mountains, we found some kids that were up there in their mom's Suburban on 24 inches on street tires, and they did not help, and it was tough. But I will say this, through all of my helping of people and trying to help people, if somebody is trying to help you get out, the driver stays in the car. Everybody else gets out of the car and helps push the car.
Yeah.
So that's just like, you're there to help, but it's, I'm just proper etiquette.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
Well, as they say, be a participant in your own rescue.
Yes, that's literally what
Yeah.
So one of the best stories Dan and I have is the fact that we pulled those young kids out of there.
I'm leaving them there next time.
I know. And you'll know why in about a second. And, we had been up there. This was off of Tinkham. And like I said, they were a ways up there. And then coming down, it was an absolutely ice road to the point where Dan was in the Land Cruiser, was in reverse going downhill, spinning the tires backwards to stop.
That much ice, yeah.
And we met some other Jeep guys up there that helped us get these guys off the mountain with the Suburban. And
we pulled the Jeeps out, too, for the record.
Yeah, the Cruiser pulled the Jeeps out. But then they tied the Suburban in between two Jeeps, and it about went off a cliff and pulled the Jeep off with it.
Yeah.
So the best part of this story is we go up there like a month later.
Yeah.
And I had taken my parents' Discovery Sport because I was kind of curious to see what it could do. And we were at the bottom on Tinkham Road, and I kind of
we weren't going up. We were just playing on the bottom, so for easy recovery, because we didn't think it would get that far.
And backstory here with the young kids, they didn't help. They were high as a kite first, which I mean,
for like 24 hours. 24
hours. They didn't help at all, and that's why I was talking about being a participant in your own rescue. So a couple months later, we're down there, and I get the Rover stuck. And Dan and I are down there with the Cruiser. We're trying to pull the Rover out. And there were some other people that were around, but you and I had it. We'd figured. And we're digging the Rover out, and all of a sudden I see this group of people walking down the road. And I look at Dan, and I look at these people, and it's the same kids. They were waiting, and they're like, hey, guys. You guys got us out last time. And they just kept walking. And I was like, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to take this shovel and I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, your body is now a traction mat.
Exactly. I'm going to kill him, Dan. So I'm going to bury him right under the snow here. Nobody's going to see it happen. So yeah.
Let me get a wood chipper.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, you got to be kidding. And I felt we were tired and I was sweating. I was like, there's no way that's the same kids. God,
like next time you're freezing to death.
Yep, pretty much. Yep. I'm taking your mom's Suburban home with me. Good God.
Oh, man, yeah.
It was, there's a lot of really fun places to go around here, but it's about preparation. And I do want to say something, and I'm not insulting anybody. So the Russian gentleman that we went up there has a really nice Toyota 4Runner.
Yeah.
He was up there alone.
Yeah.
I mean, we were up there obviously, but we didn't know him. Don't ever go into the mountains alone.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. It's just, everybody goes, well, I'll tell somebody where I'm at. Well, the problem is you look at somebody and go, I'm supposed to be back by 6. And by the time they realize you're not back by 8 or 10, things.
Unless you're telling search and rescue proactively.
Yeah. The guys, the hunters, they were bundled up, but they had a rough night, I think.
They had a rough night.
You could tell the friendship had been affected. I'm going to say that. It was like they were just not.
They were more than ready to get off that mountain.
Which it would be me, too. I would just.
Yeah, we were on our way coming down, and that's when we ran into the Tacoma that was stuck, not part of our group, and the Tundra that was stuck. And it didn't take us long because we had a ton of gear, for one. The Jeep had a winch, and at that point, we had pretty much it was pretty easy to see where they were stuck, why they were stuck, and how we could get them out. So it took a couple of pulls and a few angles, but we got them down, and we're like, don't go farther. You're only going to get more stuck, which convinced them to go back down. But these guys, we had to basically leave. These poor guys they just wanted to get off the mountain, and they spent probably another half hour just waiting for other people to get unstuck, which maybe made them feel better and worse at the same time.
Dan finally had the idea. He's like, we're going to move cars out of the way. We're going to let them go down.
Yeah.
They took the opportunity right away.
Yeah, we're like, dude, you guys have been up here long enough. Just get past, and then we'll make sure these guys get down. And so
and I mean, that being said, that if you look at a lot of these cars, I mean, I carry Rotopacks with me.
Yeah,
I carry extra fuel. I mean, it's good if you do get stuck and you have to stay, you have more fuel to keep the car running, to keep yourself warm, things like that. So, it's go back and listen to our winter episode. In fact, maybe we should do an updated winter episode sometime. With COVID, heck, a detailed list as far as things you don't think that you need, but you do, as far as the fact that I'm just going to go for a few hours. You still need extra clothes. You still need a place to be warm. You still need the ability if you needed to start a fire and things like that. So,
yeah, it was really nice to get back in my heated seat, heated steering wheel, and my extra wool socks. Just saying, it really was.
Yeah,
but
I was cold. I mean, your truck keeps everybody really warm, but it was raining. It was raining at the end.
Yeah, raining and snowing at the same time, and you're just soaking wet. I mean, I was wearing a wool hoodie, plus I had a rain jacket, and I was still soaked all the way through. Yeah. I mean, it was just and we were just up there half the day. I mean, that would have sucked overnight.
Yeah, would have been really no way to keep clean, and we would have had to eat gar off. But the meat would have been tough. But so.
It was really fun to take up somebody new, though. Like it's fun to go when you're new. Expect to get stuck. I will say, I think I have the traction boards I didn't use once. I really thought we were going to get stuck. Yeah, and it just didn't happen, which is a lot of our group didn't, though. I was surprised.
Yeah, but I think that's also something that's very characteristic of all of us off-roading, the fact that we have been stuck doing things in cars that you'd go, I don't know how I'm stuck here. Like I don't get what happened.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know I've done it a ton in the Subaru and things like that. We've been stuck in the Land Cruiser, and we've been going, I don't understand why we're stuck. Like we're not in that deep of snow. So yesterday was somewhat of I don't want to say a fluke, but I mean, we just sort of there was no major issue. So.
Yeah, it'll happen. I mean, it's just going off-roading and not expecting to get stuck is just naive. Like, that's part of the fun, like, for us. But, I mean, that's why you don't go there alone.
Do it. I mean, and, Avants is really good. They've done it. And Brandon Ben Powell's done some of them. But take your friends, go up in the mountains, get stuck.
Yeah.
And figure out how to get somebody out.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
It's fun. It really is. It's,
It's like a math puzzle, but you don't get graded.
Yeah. Oh, you get a grade.
You get graded.
You get to live or not live. That's what it is. Yeah.
I am a meat popsicle.
I identify as a meat popsicle. Yeah. Pretty much. So. No, it was a lot of fun. And if you want to know more about the route, we can give it to you. Like I said, now it's probably going to be all snowmobiles from now on.
Yeah, I wonder how long it's going to be open though. I do want to find out. But.
It would be interesting. What we should do one of these weekends is go to Greenwater and try to go back up that way and see how far we can get.
Yeah, our friends at Auburn Off-Road, another Avants partner, Avants partner. They actually came up from the other side. And they went
is that
over,
the way they went? Okay.
Yeah, they went up the other side because they're Auburn, so they went around 410. And then another group, there was an all-women's group that actually went up and went camping up there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a really nice built 4Runner and an FJ Cruiser. I was looking at their photos. I was like, dang, I want to go with them. Like they're way more prepared than we are.
Yeah.
Snow camping.
And that is our ultimate goal eventually, is to build a couple of rigs where we can go up and snow camp.
Yep.
In fact, that was one of the first things we ever talked about doing. When you first took me on Stampede Pass, we went up there and we were going down the twisties, and we found a camping spot. And years ago, we said, we're going to camp there someday. We still haven't. We go there all the time. We still haven't camped there. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Where should we go next?
Oh, boy. I don't know. Where can we go? I want to go to a restaurant.
Idaho?
I'm thinking. I think our next adventure will have to be Highway 2. There's a couple of places that I discovered with some friends of ours last year, and then the infamous road that's up there is what's the name? Beckler. So and a lot of those stay open all winter, and you can really get up there and have some fun. So.
It's funny. So Beckler technically doesn't stay open all weekend. It just remains open all winter because it's Skycomish and people have plows and just want to go places.
Yeah.
It's funny because they actually barricade it off because I forget the name of the lake that's up. There's a popular lake up there. And they will barricade it off like the DOT will, and then somebody local will find a plow and just go right through it and open it back up, which is kind of cool. A little dangerous, but cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's that being said too. If you go somewhere and it's blocked off, find another place. It's just like in my mind, you have those fears in your life. I was like, oh yeah, we went through that barricade, and we come back down. There's a barricade put back up. You're like, oh great, how do we get out?
Right.
Yeah.
Some people carry acetylene torches. We don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's very hard to cut a barricade.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah.
I was thinking we should do a trip to Idaho. One of the best places you can go right now. If you're really into this, if you're the hardcore guys, Idaho's your spot. We've said this, Idaho and Utah, really. They love off-roading there, and it's open year-round. It's slick over there. I've done a little bit of it, but that's
up for Idaho. Idaho would be fun.
Yeah.
No, it's the possibilities. Like, it's funny because
of eating at a restaurant.
Yeah, that too. Growing up on that side of the state in Spokane, like I don't remember doing a ton of off-roading. I remember going some places like Mount Spokane, things like that. I have a story that I've always told people, the fact that we were driving up Mount Spokane, some back roads of Mount Spokane, and they were switchbacks. And it was an open-top Jeep, and a buddy was in the back, and we rolled the Jeep, and he had his hands on the bar, and broke every single one of his fingers. So, yeah. But the funny thing is we were going uphill, we rolled the Jeep, and when we landed on the wheels, we were facing down on the next track. So that was kind of fun. So...
There was a video everybody should see. I should post a link. Beartooth Pass. Did you see that Jeep roll? That was insane.
My mom sent that to me.
Yeah, I think we talked about it. There was a GoFundMe on that.
But I mean, that's like
for the survivor, and I'm going to call him a survivor this morning because they ended up airlifted out. But this Jeep hit an edge on Beartooth Pass, caught an edge on the wheel just a little bit, and they rolled that thing down like 200 feet, I think.
Yeah, and the video is of somebody driving down the pass that didn't know it was coming, and all of a sudden the Jeep just goes right in front of them.
Yeah, like rolling past them.
Yeah.
Not driving, rolling.
It's, I'm guilty of it. My mother will tell you I'm driving too close to the edge, but sometimes you have to get close to the edge because you got to get around an obstacle or things like that. So it's fun. Like I think my goal in going off-road is to go up there, one, to use the chainsaws more. And
yeah,
yes, we're going to get into the chainsaws later. Or not on this episode. Dan had to one-up me.
Mine's bigger.
But it's important to trail maintenance is important and taking care of something and we'll add that to the list. We are going to do another updated winter video, but having safe shackles for trees and things like that so you're not hurting the environment is good too. So
yep. Tree saver, get one.
Save a tree while your car is sitting there idling for 3 hours while you're digging out, but you need to save the tree. Bark is important, people. So
leave no trace.
Yes, exactly. Just the skid marks from dragging your car out. So yeah, I remember we were up there on Stampede Pass one time when we had the cruiser, and I remember we were around the lake somewhere, and I remember we did a winch that was like it went to like 3 different trees.
Yeah.
It was a pretty interesting rescue.
Yeah, so we had a friend in it was a full-size Chevy truck. It was like a late 70s. And he got wedged into a ditch nose down. And just because of the angle he was at, and it was on a turn, so we didn't have like a good way to pull him without pulling him farther into the ditch. So we basically pointed toward a tree across the street, used the tree saver, put a snatch block on the tree saver, and then used that to the truck to pull it out.
Didn't we go under the truck? Like, I think we went to multiple points before we went to the truck.
Yeah, we had to go under the truck to pull the front end around because he was really like kind of like ass up in the air. So that
was fun. Yeah,
that was a really fun thing. You get some pretty interesting recoveries out there in the snow.
Yeah. It's like I said. I think that's half the fun is when you sit there and you go, okay, where do we pull from? And one thing you have to realize, it's not about necessarily that with a snatch block you're doubling the capacity of the winch, but like,
depending on how it's set up.
Even towing out that Tacoma yesterday with the Jeep, that Jeep was moving.
Oh yeah,
like it's you never see it in the Land Cruiser because that thing's like you put a brake down, it's like that'll stay there.
Yeah, so 6,000 pounds.
Yeah, 6,000 pounds
plus probably.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. So
yeah, I would say essential gear winners of this weekend were definitely the soft shackles. We use those constantly. Those have been a lifesaver. Thank God those are out now. Super light, easy to pack away. You can afford a few of them. You need 2, at least 2. I mean, 1 will help, but if you have 2, you're set because you can use them in both vehicles. Definitely a snatch block. If you have a winch, I say you probably want 3, honestly. They're cheap enough. You probably will never use more than 1, but that one time you need to do a super complicated pull with 3. The thing with 3 is obviously the pulling power, but you can set yourself up in multiple recovery points, and you can self-recover really easily. That's when you're going to run into the 3, which means you can use a tow strap as a tree saver, wrap it around a few times, but a tree saver, maybe 2. You can get and it doesn't matter who makes them. There's just a giant nylon strap. It's a tree saver. Just don't kill the trees.
Because you can use that. Not only that, but you can use those tree savers can be used as ropes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those traction boards. The people in our group that did get stuck, and of course people in our group got stuck.
Yeah.
It's half the fun, like we said. But they help guide a vehicle out. They're not just for using for traction. Like if you're stuck in the snow, especially, you won't see it as much in the mud, but in the snow, like we said earlier, it'll really suck your vehicle in. You can use those to barricade up the side, so you can make this basically kind of like hard packed snowbank that'll help pull the vehicle onto the road versus letting it swing down more into the ditch. So.
And then the suitcase air compressors. And
we should talk about that a little bit.
And Morflate.
Morflate.
Yep.
So there's this thing people were pretty amazed at who hadn't seen it. It was like that was the conversation starter in the group. Nick has this thing. It's by a company called Morflate out of Oregon, and they're about $180 to $200. I think 170 to $200.
180 if you want the shorter one, which basically is for shorter vehicles. The longer one's like 200, I think.
That said, the shorter one was large enough for my Raptor.
Yeah.
So the longer one, excuse me, think like long bed truck.
Clark messaged me to get the link.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think everybody who was on that drive was like, I need one of those. So basically what it does, it lets you to, it equalizes the pressure in all four tires. It has a tube that runs from each tire to one central point. And so when you deflate or inflate, again, you always air down to go in the snow or the mud or whatever, just because you get a wider traction patch. But because they're all connected, you can basically equalize all the pressure on the tires at the same time. So inflate all at once, which is way less wear on your compressor. You can use a smaller compressor because think of it as you have a lot more volume, but it's basically just one point. So it's easier for the compressor to air up. And when you want to air down, you just have one central point and the exact same pressure in all four tires. So instead of having one at 19 and one at 15 and one at 17, you literally get 18, 17, 16. It's really easy to air down. And
it's a great tool to use just when you're not off-roading too. Like I've used it in the fact that I've gone and just put it on my tires and I'll let the pressure equalize so that I know all the tires at the same pressure. So
yep, super easy. And it seems like a sort of expensive entry point because you're looking at, well, it's just a tube and a gauge, but no. Once you have it, man, there's a reason it costs that much money. It is worth it.
And the locking lugs that they have, the locking that lock on.
Yeah, way better quality.
A lot of times with off-roading, what you have to do is you have to get the valve stem pullers, which is tough because you're not really going to lose a valve stem, but you could. I remember you used to travel with a ton of valve stems.
I still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this basically goes onto the Schrader valve and it clicks on like a bicycle pump and it locks it on. And there's, it's not it is airtight, but there's some movement, especially when it was snow and things like that.
Yeah,
and locking them on Raptor wheels is tough because the Raptor the valves are protected. But it's a really cool little tool like that. It saves you time, and then the next thing was the suitcase air compressors from ARB.
Yeah, so on the Land Cruiser I had the dual compressor, which I never hooked up. Just never got around to it.
That's the new owner's problem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But we actually had both there. We had somebody with this. So ARB offers two compressors. Well, they offer multiple, but they do the same thing. You have a single piston compressor and a dual piston compressor. And the dual, if you get the suitcase combo, comes with its own air tank. That's really cool because you can pressurize that air tank up before you start filling, and then just boom,
it works really well.
It works really fast for airing up, but it works fast. It's not cheap because again, specialized product. Like this thing is designed to do one thing: off-road airing up. So of course it's like $900 for the suitcase. I think Avants members you get a 10% discount at Mule, who carries it in stock.
And then there is the single pump one. It's a smaller suitcase, and I don't remember what that
500 I think it is.
It was something like that, but it's worth it.
Oh,
it
totally
really
worth
is. And it comes with the alligator clips, goes right to your battery. It's really easy. And basically, what's nice is, especially with the Morflate, is you're basically centered under your hood. You've got there's a valve built into the Morflate, and the fact that the compressor's going, it's pushing air, so you can kind of be out of the weather. You don't have to be. Yeah,
you got your hood protecting you and. It just clamps onto the battery real quick for the compressors. I mean, real easy to do. But man, we passed that around to almost every vehicle. It was faster for us to do one vehicle at a time than it was for people to start on their own. With that, it works so much better. So if you're on the fence, totally not paid promotion. We just love that thing. The Morflate was worth its weight in gold.
And to add to this, the Morflate is a single guy, does it in his garage. Nicest guy in the world. Like the first one I had an issue with the gauge. Didn't even ask questions. Sent me a new gauge. Like things happen. It's a digital gauge, but it's a really cool little company.
Yeah, so. Support small business. He's just out of Oregon. And
there's 2 R's in Morflate. We'll put it in.
Yeah, we'll put the link up because it's one of those tools that once you have it, you'll like, how did I live without it? Yeah. It's such an awesome tool. And so, you can visit our friends at Mule. There's a couple people out there that make them, but support small business. Mule, of course, here and in Beaverton.
that being said, and I mean, if you are mechanical, you could build your own.
Yeah, if you look,
flate.
if you look for it, there's a kit. I found it actually on the Land Cruiser forums. It's not there. I found the link to it there. I'll find it before the episode starts. Yeah. Remind me of that one, and I'll make sure we get up on the link, because you can build your own if you just feel like DIYing it. We've had a friend that did it a long time ago, actually, one of our listeners.
Yeah, I just don't trust myself.
Yeah, neither do I.
So.
I will gladly pay somebody else to do that. Like he actually uses really good quality components too. It's top quality,
and it's bright. It's a bright color to the point where you really can't lose it in snow, and so.
Yeah, and it's flexible air hose too. Like, it's good stuff. I think it's Flexzilla hoses actually.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, which is really high quality stuff. They lock on. Can't say enough about the thing. I'm just super impressed when I find a product like that. I'm like, everybody needs one of these. Go buy it. Soft shackles and a Morphlate.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first got it, I was in the garage like deflating my tires and inflating them, just because you want to play with it. So it's fun. So yeah.
Speaking of Avants, we should probably look at what's going on with those guys.
Obviously, like we said at the beginning of the show, this Saturday, the 21st, is the second Avants Off-Road event.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Let's see here. Due to the current pandemic, we've had to cancel and or make adjustments to many of our events 2020. Safety is our highest priority. So let's see here. 21st. Sold out. Again, I know it's sold out. That means the course is sold out. I'm not speaking for Adam here. That's up to him. I think people can come watch, and just can't participate.
Message Adam through Avants on Facebook or whatever, and I guarantee you spectators can go there, but I don't know.
Carpool,
yeah. Yes,
please carpool while being socially distant. Carpool with your close friends you've seen all the time and don't have COVID. That. So, but it's partnered with Grio's Discount, LeMay, FCP Euro, Haggerty, lots of our friends.
Yeah. So I have to laugh about that. You just triggered something in my mind about social distancing and COVID. And I had dinner with my parents last night, and we were reading the regulations on this new thing. And the governor came out and said, basically, you can have a gathering for Thanksgiving, but everybody has to quarantine for 14 days before. Well, the problem is he announced it yesterday, and there's not 14 days between yesterday and Thanksgiving, so you couldn't do it even if you wanted to. And
yes, but you can have 30 people at a funeral, so if you are mourning the loss of your turkey pet, just wear black.
They're going to be at the door going, "Sir, that turkey would serve 12 people. Where are you going with it?"
We don't have any police left. We're fine.
Well, that was another thing I laughed about. Like, again,
enforcing
at the end of it goes, enforcement will not be. They're not really enforcing it. I'm like, okay, well, because nobody wants to go around and enforce that. So,
and we're not trying to. We're just trying to have fun. We don't want to make
light. We're
know.
trying to make light of a situation, but I'm literally going like, if I wanted to follow those directions and I wanted to have a Thanksgiving, I couldn't quarantine for that long. So and I think the best thing was somebody told me, he's like, I was talking about the fact when I got sick and I got a COVID test, and I'm like, so I don't have COVID. And my buddy goes, no, you didn't have COVID that day. And I was like, oh, that took the wind out of my sails. So, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well.
I'm very fortunate we have free COVID testing through work, which makes it really easy, and we just go in and get tested. You can do it like every day if you wanted to. So thank you for that. That'd
be nice.
Yeah, it is. Great benefit. So
those of us that work from home can't do that.
But we have friends that have been affected by COVID, and we're not trying to make light of that. It's a weird situation right now. We're just trying to deal with it best we can.
At this point, I'm using my humor. I have to.
I
don't know what else to do. It does. It sucks. And so, and I'm going to do my best at this time to support all the local businesses that I can. I know I can't go to these restaurants, but
you can get takeout. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, but you remember when we left yesterday, the one thing I said about the restaurant that's by me, the fact that I need to stop going there because they know me by name now. So
it's
becoming a problem. So.
They're really good food, though.
Yes, I agree. So
the best Mediterranean food on the east side is right by next.
It's called Tenor, by the way.
Tenor, yeah.
It's right above
local business.
Oh my God, it's so good.
It is so good.
So yeah. Well, like we said, this episode's a little shorter. We're working on guests,
COVID.
and truthfully, if we've said this before, we have a bunch of guests in the hopper that we're working on. But if you've got somebody that you think is interesting and you want to hear you think their story would be good, contact us. We'd always love to hear it. So
thanks, Nathan Muntz.
Yeah, and in fact, we've got hopefully next week we've got one coming up that is going to be it's out of the box. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we have a really cool guest coming. I'm excited to have that one. So we've had to move a lot of things around. Luckily, people are still playing nice with us with COVID. I know people are worried, but if you have a guest who wants to come on the show, we absolutely can accommodate social distancing and still do a podcast. So let us know.
All right. Well, for this episode of RCS, I'm Nick.
I'm Dan, and don't just get there. Enjoy the drive.